Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Let's Play the Bloodborne Chalice dungeons. We are about 2/3 of the way done them, but the hardest stretch is just beginning, because today we continue on with Depth 4, and we'll start Depth 5. More importantly, today we start off with the Defiled dungeon, the Cursed dungeon, which is brutal. You have virtually no slack in the Defiled dungeons, no room for mistakes. You're walking a tightrope over a pit of spikes, and the moment you lose your balance, even a little bit, that's death. The Defiled dungeons cut your health in half. Everything is more healthier, everything has a higher damage output than previous dungeons. Every fight with a regular enemy is already thick with tension. Every boss becomes a grueling dance where you cannot afford to mess up. And the bosses in this dungeon have a lot of HP, and that means you have plenty of opportunities to screw up and pay for it. And there's no way around it if you want to make it to the end of the Chalice dungeons. So, first up, we have a refight against the Keeper of the Old Lords. The fight changes a little bit in this variant. Early on, though, it's not too different. So at the beginning, I can afford to trade hits for parries like I've been doing. In a second, though, I don't think I'll be able to anymore, because if I keep doing this, she might eventually one-shot me once she gets to her next phase. There is a nice pattern you can get her into, though, where she really likes to backdash and do 2 slashes after you hit her with a bullet. So if you shoot her once, she'll start doing that, and then you could shoot her again for a really easy, safe parry. You can also stop her from buffing her katana up with fire with a well-timed shot, although I only managed to do that one time. You can actually keep her out of this phase in which she's really buffed up, though. Once she buffs up, all of her slashes do a little mid-range fire weight projectile, and they become a little bit harder to dodge. They also do significantly more damage. I don't know how I actually made it through that fire wave without taking damage. I don't know if it was the hitbox of the fire, or if I had some kind of invincibility going on while drinking a blood vial. Almost said Estus. This is overall not too bad of a fight. It's not too hard. It's just that second phase that starts from like 75% of her health onwards gets really, really dicey. At a moment's notice, she'll one-shot me. So what I tried to do here was transform my Kirk Hammer and time jump attacks at her as she approaches, because I figured, hey, that's probably a little bit safer than trying to dash in at her. So the trick here is just... Oh, that was really risky, actually. That was a chance I should not have taken. And she becomes a little bit harder to parry at that mid-range, too, because she is the projectile screwing you up. So, dash through the fire wave, as opposed to trying to parry it, is what I found to be most effective for this fight. And that's the Keeper of the Old Lords Mach 2, version 2. Keeper isn't that hard. I think I did that on the second try. It might have been the third try. You saw she dropped a bloodstone chunk there. That was part of a patch change from the recent patch. Blood rocks, since that patch, are also dropping in Chalice dungeons now, very rarely at that. Before, you could get a few extra blood rocks per playthrough, before from doing fetid, rotten, cursed offerings in the root Chalice dungeons, which are just modifiers that make them harder. But now you can get them a little bit more reliably, and I don't think there's actually a limit on how many you can get per playthrough now. So I was saying that the Keeper isn't that hard. This one, though, the boss of Layer 2 of the Defiled Chalices, is a monumental leap forward in difficulty. This one was a real struggle. So our second Defiled boss is the Watchdog of the Old Lords, and this fight is largely identical to the first one, actually. He has a few new moves, but nothing that changes the fight drastically. What makes him so much harder now is that he has more health, a lot more, and we have much less. That sounds like a really minor variable change, but that makes all the difference in the world. There is no other boss in the game, I think, as difficult as this one. It took me about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, worth of non-stop attempts to get this down, and that's not even for a clean kill. In fact, by the end here, you'll see it was pretty close. It's a harrowing experience of a fight, and it is very, very long. This one looks like it took me about 7 minutes, maybe 7.5, trying to eyeball the clip in the timeline. Those 7 minutes felt like an hour. I really, really like this fight simply because of the change in health. Because that amount of health means you have to play this very close to perfectly. He has one attack that can one-shot you. Actually, he probably has two, maybe. If you get comboed, you'll die. But if you take individual hits here and there, that's your only margin for error. You will have enough time to get back and pop 2 blood vials. But you can't do that repeatedly. You can't take too many hits. And there are certain things that you flat out have to avoid. And given that this fight is so long and he has so much health, it's very, very difficult to keep that pace up for extended periods of time. It's a draining fight. It's exhausting. It's mentally exhausting to fight this boss and to kill him. That charge attack, you have to scout that out. That one will kill you in one hit. That charge attack is the most dangerous thing he does. He telegraphs it, but he doesn't telegraph it very long. Oh, shit. I think I got clipped at an angle, which is the only reason I survived that one. That could have been death right there. This is an intense fight. I think he is by far the hardest Chalice dungeon boss. I think he is the hardest boss in this dungeon by far. I think he is probably harder than anything else we're going to be going up against in any of the future Chalices. Yeah, you have to watch him wiggle his head a little bit and scout that charge out. It's the main thing you're looking for. Other nice thing, Beast Blood pellets are really good for this fight. Also, I think he glows more here. Yeah, he has more particle and fire effects going now than he did before, which is nice. Looks like a really, really baller boss. And of course, in this phase, every time he takes a swipe with his claws, like the Keeper of the Old Lords, a little bit of a mid-range fire attack comes buffeting out. So even at the mid-range, you kind of have to watch him. That attack you have to react to a little bit quicker, because he does like 6 or 7 bites in a row, and they carry him forward a whole lot. So yeah, like this, you really have to be backpedaling and then aware of how many hits he does so you can punish it properly. He does give you a little opening so that you can take a swing or two. At this point in the fight, I was just trying to desperately finish him off with cannon shots. The first one, I don't think did that much. The second one exploded on him, but did no damage. I was so disheartened by that. I'm like, no, I have to keep fighting. So at this point, I'm down to 1 bullet, 3 blood vials. And this fight is just getting more and more intense. My main strategy throughout the entire thing was just walk forward a little bit, bait out that long horizontal strike, the bite, and then punish it. He starts doing that in like 3 or 4 hit combos in the later phase of the fight, which makes it increasing, like that 3-hit combo, makes it increasingly more difficult to punish. And when I missed his telegraph for spitting the Quelaag pool of lava beneath him, I reacted really slowly to that last one that he did. I was positive that I had screwed myself out of killing him before. I panicked really bad when that happened. And now we get the Defiled Root Chalice from him. Fuck that. Oh boy. So, we can move on from the Watchdog of the Old Lords to a fight that's actually way, way, way easier. That's the most intense fight I've had in all of Bloodborne, including probably the Chikage Hunter. That was more intense than the Chikage Hunter because that was 7 minutes long. So our third and final boss of the Defiled Dungeon is Amygdala. Now, a lot of people think that Defiled Amygdala is pretty tough, but what I've found is that if you hit him in the face enough times, he can't hurt you because he'll be fucking dead. So that's a cool trick. What disappoints me about getting hit in this fight like I'm about to do, I actually thought I got hit way earlier than this. Ah, there it is. So what disappoints me about getting hit in this fight is because I had 2 separate attempts in a row where I got him within about a hit or 2 of dying. I got him down to his last little pixel of life twice, and then made a really stupid mistake, like accidentally backdashing and hitting L1 to get stuck in the transformation animation, and then dying to something dumb. I got him that low without getting hit. That visceral attack did 1900 damage. It should have been for 2500 plus you can get that nice follow-up, and the jump attack follow-up for 1100. Good shit. Be relentless here. He's not actually that bad. That visceral attack I was saying should have been for 2500, but I was using a Beast Blood pellet, and it just wonky timing. The Beast Blood pellet wore off, and when the pellet wears off, your Beasthood meter vanishes immediately. So even if it was full, when that pellet effect wears off, it just disappears. So that means you lose your bonus damage whenever it wears off. Ah, I got flattened by his head there. So, Defiled Amygdala. If you have enough health, if you have enough vitality, then you can just barely survive a lot of his attacks, and he's nowhere near as dangerous as Watchdog of the Old Lords. He's not really as aggressive as the Keeper. He just has tremendous range, and he's huge compared to either of those two, which means you have to watch out for how you space yourself from him, and it means that you have to watch out for the camera at certain angles. But you see, I stay locked onto his head the entire fight. I don't ever break lock on him. And that works out just fine. I pulled out the cannon there because I thought I was gonna maybe fire a few Bone Ash rounds into his face to get another visceral attack to finish the fight. Turns out I didn't even have to. I was planning on letting loose, but yeah. So Amygdala is Amygdala. He's not very hard. Probably the easiest boss in the Defiled Chalices, and that is it for the Defiled Chalice. Great Thimeru Ithil Chalice. Great Chalices unlock deeper riches of the labyrinth. Thimeru Ithil was the title of both the Thumerian monarch and its capital. This reveals that while early Thumerians were mere humble guardians of the slumbering Great Ones, their descendants felt entitled to name themselves a leader. That's one of the first really significant things that we have learned about the Thumerians since starting our dive into the Chalice dungeons. And we've learned a little bit about their monarchy and their kings. So moving on, it's time to finish up the Loran set of dungeons by doing Lower Loran, which is our first depth 5 dungeon. I'm pretty sure this one's depth 5. I should have taken a glance at the screen just a second ago. If it is, depth 5 is the highest that the difficulty goes to in the Chalice dungeons. Unlike the Defiled Chalice, which had the curse modifier on it, we aren't cursed with half health for this one, so it's not gonna feel like as big of a step up in difficulty as it should. Also, it starts off with a Loran Silverbeast boss fight, which is a Loran Silverbeast, so who fucking cares? Nothing can really be said about this lazy, shitty boss fight against a buffed up regular enemy. So this is not the best introduction into your foray into depth 5 Chalice dungeons. Fight's not exactly jumping into the deep end here, especially, like, it's nice that we get to see him crawl around on all fours because when you fight the normal versions of the Loran Silverbeast, like in the Nightmare Frontier, they don't normally live long enough to do that. But they're still just as prone to getting hit stunned and stun locked as they are at any other point. So they don't actually get to attack all that much, which is boring. They should not be stun lockable. That's like fucking unacceptably shitty. Yeesh. That's so lazy. I don't like that at all. But what I do like is this. Now the second fight, on the other hand, is against another Abhorrent beast, which is always a welcome sight to see because I really dig this fight. It's not changed much from the last time we fought the Abhorrent beast, which... Was that in the first Loran Chalice dungeon? I can't remember. Either way, he's slightly different from the first fight. But the changes are more like the Watchdog of the Old Lords, where the changes don't actually make a big difference in how you fight him, or how the fight actually progresses along. That kind of bums me out. The electricity in the first part of the fight contrasts against this nice, windy, sandy, dark background a little bit better than it did the first time around, which is a cool effect. He looks a little bit neater now. And he's gonna start glowing and crackling with even more electricity in a moment, I think. Unless he's already gotten to that point. When he does that, he's activated his next phase, in which he gains a little bit of an AoE. Like, he'll jump at me. I think this should be the start of it, actually. Yeah, he'll start jumping around, and when he reaches the ground, he'll do an explosion. It's one of those things that just, it's shades of Flame Lurker. Storm Lurker is what I think I called him before. Yeah, he sparks up a bit. The fight is mostly the same, though. Visually, he just gets more particle effects. The way it plays out, pretty much the same. The AoE is new, but I don't think it changes how you fight him, because he's so aggressive and so fast that you're always just in his face, and he's always in your face, and it's just this really cool, really good dance. I feel like they need to change him up some. A lot of the reused bosses kind of have that problem. With the Undead Giant being like the major what-the-hell exception to that. Like the Watchdog is kind of the same. Gets a few new abilities that don't change how the fight goes. But at least with the Watchdog, you have that cursed stipulation that halves your health. The Keeper changes a little bit. Plus the stipulation changes the way that fight goes. Makes it a lot more tense. But the Undead Giant gets 3, like, entirely different variations. All of them are completely different fights. That said, this one is still not easy, and it's still a fight that I really enjoy. Like, I really like the Abhorrent Beast. It's just that with nothing new to learn, I can take everything I learned about him in the first fight, and this one is... It's technically more difficult. Like, the numbers are all higher. He does more damage. He has a new attack, he has higher health, but he doesn't feel all that much harder because nothing that you learned about him before is out the window this time. Everything is still on the table as far as tactics and strategy and muscle memory. It's all the same. Speaking of the same, our next boss is against the very unique Loran Darkbeast, a boss we've never fought before. Oh wait, it's just Darkbeast Parl. We come to the final boss of the Ailing Loran Chalices, the final boss of Lower Loran. It's a Loran Darkbeast. So this makes me question whether or not the Darkbeasts are actually from Loran. Loran also seems to have a real theme of electricity surrounding it. The Loran Silverbeasts, their big get-off-you attack when you're trying to stunlock them. That was a nicely timed dodge. It's an electricity AoE. We fight Stormlurker, the Abhorrent Beast here, and a Loran Darkbeast. That seems to imply that the Darkbeast actually originated in Loran. And thus maybe Archibald? Wait a minute, did Did the Tonight Show's description say that Archibald was from Bergenworth? I can't remember. I thought it was something like the infamous eccentric of Bergenworth. But then again, maybe Archibald ventured into Loran to study the Darkbeast there and all of the electrified, lightning enchanted creatures, and simply brought back with him specimens. Let's see, the Spark Hunter badge dropped by Carl says that it was given to his closest friends, maybe friends that he made in Loran, compatriots. They then brought back and experimented upon, or maybe Parl is just like a shitty, kind of artificial Darkbeast that Archibald cooked up using one of his friends as fodder. Like, Darkbeast Parl is trapped back there because Archibald took what he learned in Loran and tried to create a Darkbeast, which he originally found there, and tried to create one artificially. I'm not sure. I would like to learn more about the Darkbeast. Loran in general is kind of an area that fascinates me, because you do get some pretty big hints about it. And like I said, I think that the Nightmare Frontier, and by extension the Nightmare of Mensis, are set directly in Loran, because you can see the Nightmare of Mensis from the Nightmare Frontier. So you get that, you get the dungeons, you get little scraps, little tidbits here and there about Loran. I would like to see more of it. Just like they kind of hinted about Ulasil and all of that stuff going forward before Prepare to Die came out and before you could actually visit Ulasil in the past. I kind of hope they do just that for the Bloodborne expansion, which has been confirmed. Shuei Yoshida finally got tired of being asked, is there going to be DLC for Bloodborne? He's like, of course there is. So he just confirmed it on Twitter. He's like, yeah, we'll learn more about the Bloodborne DLC expansion later this year. It is coming, though. Like, surprising nobody. My hope is that just like in Dark Souls Prepare to Die, where you go into the past to explore Ulasil before it fell, I'm hoping here that we get to visit Loran before it fell to the plague. I didn't mention much about strategy or tactics for Loran Darkbeast, because he fights exactly the same as Parl. I don't think there's a single change there. And that's going to do it for now. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take it easy. Have a good one.